Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about the Hawkeye series, and we're going to cover the second story arc, which is the last one, also written by Fabian Nicieza. It's called A Little Murder, and the story's okay, but it's pretty cool to see Hawkeye teaming up with Black Widow. So much like in the first story, Hawkeye comes across this gigantic conspiracy. Now in this case, everything starts with the death of the owner of Hawkeye's favorite deli. The man was of Russian descent, and it seems that it was a mob hit. The Russian mafia was behind it. Now, what I found interesting in the first part of the story is that we have this whole situation between Clint and Steve Rogers, where he tells Steve, look, I think that the owner of my favorite deli was killed by the Russian mob. I have to find out. He left behind a grieving widow and a child. And Steve tells Clint, hey, look, you're not a detective. This is not a normal Avengers thing. And Hawkeye's like, yeah, whatever, but I'm going to get to the bottom of this anyways. So the first part of this story, we have Hawkeye investigating and diving deep into the world of the Russian mob, to the point that it actually calls the attention of Black Widow, who tells Clint, hey, stay out of this. This is a Russian thing. You're going to get in way above your head. And obviously, Hawkeye ignores her. He ends up discovering that the owner of this deli actually had a really dark past, that he had moved to the United States to have a fresh start and sweep everything under the rug. This will lead to Hawkeye actually traveling to Russia. There's a really cool detail here at this moment of the story, that when he travels normal airline flights and he can't move around with his bow and arrows, especially his trick arrows, Mark Spector, who is Moon Knight, always has some type of contact in any country of the world to get weapons. So that's how he gets new gear when he arrives to Russia. So through Hawkeye's investigations, he discovers that the owner of the deli used to develop chemical weapons, and he was the head of this black site in the middle of Siberia. These specific chemical weapons that were experimental were going to be deployed on Afghanistan during the war that Russia had in the 80s. And this will lead to Hawkeye teaming up with Black Widow to deal with this gigantic Russian cyborg dude that worked for the mob but was also part of this program. And our heroes come out on top, and the story itself, it's just okay. It goes through the motions. Now, I do really like the B plot, which are a bunch of flashbacks to Hawkeye's life prior to being an Avenger, where I had no idea that Hawkeye would work for a time in Ringmaster Circus. And it's the same circus that Hulk joined very briefly in Avengers issue 1. And that he had snitched on his lover that had committed this murder to steal this piece of artwork. And what happens afterwards with this lady who was like the tattooed lady of the circus, it was very interesting, and I thought they were going to set up something with her, but this series got canceled. It had a lot of potential, but we're going to leave this video here. Hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.